everybody, and welcome to episode 62 of the MyMuddlings podcast. My name is Julianne, and I'd like to thank you so much for joining me today. I know that it's been a little bit longer than I thought I was going to be to do this episode, but here we are. I'm here today, sans makeup. My hair is still a mess after having had a shower earlier. I edged and mowed our back lawn today, so that was quite a feat. And yeah, I got pretty hot, had a shower, and I just thought, I can't be bothered, but I wanted to talk to you guys anyway. So here I am, complete with giant zits on my face. I don't know where they've come from, but yeah. So it's been a little while since Fibre Feast, which is what I'm trying to get on to talk about, which was huge. Oh my goodness, it was amazing. I can't believe, I'm still in disbelief that there's that many people in South Australia who are interested in knitting and yarny things. It was fantastic. I'm pretty sure just about everybody that I spoke to had an amazing day. And yeah, we were all super glad to see all the people and meet new people. And for all of you who have found me via Fibre Feast, welcome. Thank you so much for following along. I hope you continue to enjoy. And yeah, thank you if you purchased from me. I nearly sold out. I didn't have enough stock. I clearly needed more than what I brought. But I guess that's learning for next time. But yeah, it was amazing. Jess and I from the Sweater Collective and I drove up there together, so that was pretty fun having a what do you call it, a market mate, you know. And we were there to try and cover each other's tables if we needed to go, you know, for a loo break or some food or something. So we didn't really have to do too much of that, so that was fantastic. I was stunned when one of the organisers said that there was a line up before the time it was opening, so that was crazy. And being 3 people deep for the first 2.5 hours was like something I've never experienced. It was amazing. Incredibly daunting, but so good in the same sort of vein. So yeah, Fibre Feast was really good. Thank you so much to everybody who came out, and yeah, let's hope that we can do it again soon. Well, I guess I could get on to what I've been working on, because I have been working on quite a few things. As I mentioned in the last podcast, I was doing a test knit for Jess of the Sweater Collective on her new Theberton shawl, and this is it here. She is here on Edith. Yes, my dress form is called Edith, by the way, if nobody is aware. I don't know that I shared that. But yes, I've got the Theberton shawl here, and this was knit from my own Swindon sock, which is an 80/20 merino nylon. And this was a new colourway that I created just for the kits that we that Jess and I had at Fibre Feast. And I've just called this lavender, and then this is my Earl Grey colourway here. And yeah, I finished it. I realised after it was blocking, Jess came round the day that it was blocking, and she said, "Oh, you've made your second stripe narrower." And I'm like, "No, what do you mean narrower?" And she said, "There's 2 extra lines in the pattern." She goes, "That's fine if you didn't put them in, that's okay." And I'm like, I didn't see 2 extra lines, but anyway, we had a look just to make sure it was there, and yes, it was there. I just can't read clearly. So yeah, I was super happy with it. Lots of people had a bit of a snuggle with it on Fibre Feast, and our kits all sold out, so that was very exciting. We only had 2 of each colourway, but yeah, they all sold, so we were really excited about that. I don't actually have the yardage in front of me, but I will link to my project in the show notes. So if you want to check all that out, you can go to mymuddlings.com and you'll find the show notes over there. So my Theberton shawl is my only FO that I have for today. So, but I do have a hoe. I have a hoe. Now, we haven't seen any socks on this podcast for a little while, have we? I don't quite know what inspired me to pull these out, but I did pull them out over the weekend, and these are my street art socks is all I'm calling them. They're just my vanilla socks a la Lovebird Lane pattern that you can get on Ravelry for free, and it is my street art colourway, Fancy Feet colourway, and this is on my sheepy sock base, which is a BFL nylon blend. I somehow got nylon and blend mixed together and put a D on the end of nylon, as you do. So yeah, I finished one sock. I think part of the reason that I put these away is my sock mojo has been lacking a little bit of late, but I did put these away because I was having so much trouble getting my Fish Lips Kiss heel done. And I don't know why. It just was the way it was working out. I think I ripped this heel out a good 3 times, I think. Yeah, before, even when I pulled it out again, did I stuff it up again? I can't remember, but I know I stuffed it up at least 2 or 3 times. I think I'd messed it up twice, and I was on my 3rd attempt and I'd messed that up. And that's when I sort of put these socks in timeout, because I don't know why I've done so many Fish Lips Kiss heels. I know it off by heart, but for some reason I don't know, brain fart. But yeah, so I got the heel done and the foot done, and I also had no end of trouble Kitchenering the toe. Now, Kitchenering is not something I've ever had any problems with. Never had any problem remembering how to do it. I've previously never had any issues getting it done, but this one I ripped it out a good 4 to 5 times before I got it right. So I don't know, my whole, maybe some other knowledge has come into my brain and it's just pushing all my sock knitting information out of my head. But yeah, I got a sock done. A sock is done. So pretty much as soon as I cast that off, I did cast on my new one. So this is as far as I've gotten on my 2nd sock. And I haven't worked on this the last couple of days. But yeah, I'm picking up from time to time because, I don't know, my knitting mojo is lacking a little bit, which is slightly worrying because if you follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen over the weekend I did some tidy ups and things in here in my craft room. I now have to my left Simon's old computer desk because he has a new one, and it's a nice big area. I can fit my machines on there, so I have my sewing machine and my overlocker, and I've got the printer on there so I can print all my yarn labels and order forms and things like that all in here instead of having to go to the study, which is out and around the back. Because our house, if you're familiar with Australian housing trust houses, I don't know if everybody will really understand, they all have what we tend to call a sleep out on the back, and it's basically because the house, when it was originally built, the toilet was separate from the house, and at some stage they have put these little sleep outs on the back of the house, which includes an extra room because there are only 2 bedrooms otherwise, and connects it through to the toilet, creating sort of like a laundry area. So for me to get to the study from my craft room, I have to go out into the kitchen, which is behind me, and then go out through the laundry into the study to get to the printer. So that was getting a little bit like, if I forgot something and I had to go back, or like printing labels, I'd have to go out, put the label form in, come back, use my computer, go back to collect it. So it was a lot of wasted time going backwards and forwards to the printer. So that's all in here now. I've got my Foldio Lightbox set up as well, so I can quickly take photos anytime I want. So yeah, I've got this all kind of set up here. I've still got massive whip baskets that are taking up the surface of the desk, and I think that's potentially what is the issue with me and knitting at the moment. And I want to write a blog post. I'm formulating a blog post in my head because I'd like to get into more writing because I do enjoy writing. So yeah, I'm formulating a blog post to address that. But yeah, my knitting mojo's going down a little. So that's why I haven't done a whole heap on this sock. But I'll stop tangenting and talk about the knitting some more. So yeah, I've got a sock. I've started the second sock, so I guess I'll pick those up when and if I want to knit socks. I don't think I've spoken to you guys about this project, but it is a super fun project. Now, let me just pull it out and I'll show you. It is a sweater. So, it's a top-down sweater. It is called Puntilla or Puntilla. I'm not sure how it's actually said because it's by Joji Locatelli. And I know she's, I think, Argentinian, I think. Don't quote me. So I think she speaks Spanish anyway. And so it could be Puntilla. I'm not quite sure, but it's spelt Puntilla. So it could be like tortilla. I'm not sure. Puntilla sounds better than Puntilla, so I'll say Puntilla. Yeah, so it's a sweater called Puntilla, and I'll put a photo in because it's got this gorgeous little detail of having knitted on frills around the wrist and around, well, I don't know if it's frills as such, but it's kind of like a little lace cuff and hem that gets picked up and knit on in a contrasting colour. So yeah, I've got my yoke done. I've joined for under my sleeves, under my arms. So I'm knitting down the body, and it's like a drop shoulder kind of design, so it will come down on my shoulders. But this has been the most interesting sweater construction that I have done possibly ever. Probably, you know, even more interesting than there's two other sweaters that have had interesting yoke constructions that I've done. One is the Antros sweater, which is by Shannon Cook, which basically you knit like a panel and then pick up around the bottom, I believe is how it's done, to create like an overlapping collar. And the other one that I've done is first edition by Dallasan. I've completely forgotten her name, but she's the Violet Pie. Sorry, Dallasan. And that was also because it had an overlapping collar, was another different type of construction. But this has been so interesting, and basically you cast on one side of the back, then you knit with tons of short rows. There are so many short rows in this pattern, and it's just intriguing because the short rows, because like I said, it's a drop shoulder design. It's like when you look at it, you probably can't see it, but when I look at it close up, you can see there's like a work even kind of section, and then you can see the short rows like shaping it into a curve. So yeah, it was super interesting. And then to knit the front, you basically pick up off the back with the stitches visible. So you pick them up on the wrong side rather than the right side to create this seam effect. So it's just been so interesting. And I'm really looking forward to getting to the point where I put my little lace cuffs and hem on. And I haven't spoken about the yarn. I'll do that now. This is also my Swindon sock base, same as what was used for my Theberton shawl. And this is my 3PM colourway. And this pattern also has a rather large gauge. So yeah, it's really interesting to see this colourway knit up at a larger gauge, because I have knit it on a smaller needle. I think these are 4.5mm, which is a US 7. Let's see if I get that right. And I think I've only previously knit this on a US or a 3.75. No, I put it away. My mini skein scarf, which is also a recipe pattern that you can get off Ravelry, that has 3 p.m. in as one of the stripes in it, and that's on 3.75mm needles. So I've only ever really seen this colorway knit on smaller needles. But yeah, I'm really loving it. I am alternating skeins like a good girl. And I've figured out a way that I can alternate my skeins and not have a massive discrepancy between stitch sizes on either side as I've swapped. So you can see on the back that I have wrapped the yarn. So I twist the yarn every time I do a changeover just to keep that, you know, try to not have a hole on the outside, to not have a visible seam. So yeah, I'm really happy with the way the stitches are coming out a lot more consistent over that change. And I know when I block it, because something also that's off the screen that you can't see, the little sweaters that I made, the So Faded pint size that I made for my nieces, I did the same thing where I wrapped the yarn around, and at that stage I hadn't figured out exactly how to get them the stitches mostly consistent, but when I blocked those, they actually evened out quite well. So I was quite happy with, I went from being really disappointed with the way that the stitches looked around the change to being actually quite happy with it. So I know, seeing I'm quite happy with this as it is, once I block it, I'm sure it'll just all even out and look beautiful. So yeah, basically I'm just stocking it in the round now, going down. I need to do, I think, 14.5 inches down from the underarm, and then I guess it's sleeves, and then it's obviously got to pick up, I've got to pick up a collar, and then do my little frills. I'm just going to continue to call them frills, but what I'm going to do is dye up some of this blue that I have in here and do a really nice dark, probably not quite as dark as this here. Where am I? I probably will get it something like this sort of colour, or a little bit darker for my frills. So yes, that's Ponte Up, and I really enjoy that. 3 p.m. is one of my favourite colourways, and I know a lot of your favourite colourways, so I should really dye some of that up to be in my next update. So I'm just waiting on my yarn. I've put in all my yarn orders, so I'm just waiting for them to arrive. So hopefully I'll have some 3 p.m. in my next shop update. The last thing I have been knitting on is another shawl design. If I ever release any of these, it'll be a bloody miracle, I'm telling you. Yeah, at Fibre Feast, because I'm supposed to be on a yarn diet this year and I'm failing miserably, but it's interesting. The only yarns that I've allowed myself to buy have been from dyers that I have not tried before, which I guess is better than buying the same stuff that I always buy. I don't know. Justifications. Who knows how to justify buying yarn? I mean, I think we can all identify with that. But I am keeping it on the down low. I'm not buying as much as I regularly would because I have all of this behind me, plus under my desk and in my drawers that are over in the corner, and I think that's part of the reason that my knitting mojo's actually disappeared a little, is because I'm just so bloody overwhelmed. There is so much yarn in this room. I'm just like getting really overwhelmed. But anyway, let's talk about what I have been knitting. This is yarn that I picked up, which is a new to me dyer. I've not bought any of her yarn before. She's a relatively new yarn dyer. She's from Adelaide as well. As I said, I bought this at Fibre Feast, and that is, her name is Monica, and she dyes under the name Ash and Oak Yarns. And yeah, so I bought a couple of skeins of her titanium sock, and this is her Anna colourway. So this is how far I've gotten in my shawl. It is a side-to-side shawl, so you basically knit from one tip, increase till you get to the middle, and then you will decrease. I've started just I'm just starting to make my way back up the other side. So that is the Anna colorway here, which is a really lovely, it's kind of almost like a reddy pink, I guess. It's not my color. Neither of these colors that I purchased to knit together from Monica are my colors. I mean, I guess this is pink, but to me it kind of strikes a little more of that terracotta red kind of color. It's beautiful. I love it. But yeah, it's so not my color. And I mean, it might look okay on me. You'll have to tell me whether it suits me or not. With the blue hair, I don't know. But yeah, basically I'm going to knit this side to side, and then I'm going to use this other colorway that I bought, which is her Robin's Nest colorway. And it's like brown and blue with dark brown speckles in it. That is going to be used to pick up, I think it's going to be a pick up border and knit down. So I'm not 100% sure whether I'm going to do like a knit across, like from end to end, the same as the shawl has done, or whether I'm going to pick up and knit down. Probably pick up and knit down, just to have a little bit of, you know, play with different directions of knitting in the design. So this is going to be used to do some kind of, I'm thinking some sort of lace with some garter in it. So yeah, I'm still looking up stitch dictionaries and things like that, trying to get some inspiration for it. But I've just been working on the body of the shawl, and this knit up super quick. This, you know, this section of the shawl is super quick. So it's going to be a very shallow triangle with the lace edging. So stay tuned. And Monica, stay tuned. So yeah, that's pretty fun. I'm quite enjoying that. And it's a different construction than I've ever done before, so, which is exciting, especially because it's a design. So yeah, well, let's get on to the last thing I've been working on, which is some crochet. So as I said, the last thing I've been working on is some crochet, and that is my granny stripe blanket. So let's have a look. I have nearly entirely got my original diagonal stripe crochet blanket into this now, and I'll just hold up. It's very wide because, as I've mentioned before, I have made it as wide as the top of my queen size bed. So not all of my yarns, because these are obviously all leftovers from like fingering weight leftovers. They're not all, I don't have enough of all of them to make an entire row across. Also, I have some self-striping in here, which means that the blocks are a little bit smaller. Sometimes they colour stack, which is fun. So yeah, I've been working on this, and this is really what I've mostly been wanting to work on. I finally pulled apart the rest of the blanket, and this is all that I have left of my original blanket. So it's just the leftover of that silver and then onto the orange, and then I'll be adding new colours into it. So that's pretty exciting. And I have been using this pretty crappy hook that I got from Spotlight. It's a 4.5mm hook. It's not so bad because I think I've mentioned before I have a lot of problems with my grip and getting numbness down. I think it's a carpal tunnel thing. I don't want to say that it definitely is because I haven't been diagnosed. I've not had any of the nerve tests or anything done. But I tend to, if I used to hold my yarn, tension my yarn like that, and then I'd get all numb and pain down the side of my hand. Same with crochet, because when it's just like the fine needle, like hook, I tend to like do the same thing with my little finger and really pull tight. So I got this one that's a little bit bigger. It's better because it's that slightly bigger sort of shaft on it. However, today I thought, well, this is a long-term project. I'm going to be working on it for a really long time. So I jumped onto eBay and I treated myself to a tulip hook. So I have one other tulip hook. I have a 3.5mm hook, and they're the ones that have a really nice soft grip rubber or silicone, I'm not quite sure. But yeah, but the handle is fatter, it's sort of ergonomically shaped, and it's a soft grip. So yeah, I treated myself to one of those. So hopefully that'll be in the post pretty soon. I think it'll probably be in next week, so then I can up the comfort, because my wrist has been getting a little bit not too happy with this hook. So once I get my tulip hook, hopefully that will clear up. But because I'm so into this project right at the moment, I just keep keep going away with this one, which is fine. It's okay. Because like I said, it does at least have that slightly bigger shank on it. So yeah, that's all pretty good. So I will put this back. This is in my Knit and Stitch Bits camel bag, which I love, and I think this is, it's not the I think this is the extra large size that she has. I'm not entirely, could be the sweater size. I can't actually remember what the size is. I'll put it down in the down bar if I remember. So yeah, it's my Knit and Stitch Bits bag, and I have been doing some spinning, but I realised that I've just left a skein out in the lounge room, so I will go and grab that and be back in a second. Okay, so I had spun the singles for this yarn quite a while ago, and they'd been sitting there, so they had a long chance to rest, and I thought, because I basically spun them just end to end, the whole entire braid, onto one bobbin. I didn't split it in half to do a 2-ply, so I thought, well, I'll do a plying ball, because I've seen other people do plying balls, and I've done a plying ball before. It is really not my favourite way to do it, and after the experience I had with this, I'm never ever doing it again. Basically, I got as much plied as what you see here, and then my singles both broke, and then my plying ball fell apart, and I could not untangle it. So I haven't weighed this, but this is probably about 1/3 of what I had. So I'm pretty devastated because it spun up really fine, and I was really excited about how fine the spinning was, because I tend to, a 2-ply, I tend to get a sport to DK weight, and I'm wanting to get more of that fingering weight sort of 2-ply, and then move on to a fingering weight 3-ply, which I definitely cannot do. I'm more of a DK to worsted out of that. So yeah, I was really happy with how fine it was spinning up, and although green isn't my colour, it was going to go in the shop, and unfortunately, yeah, the plying ball turned into yarn bath, and even though I had let the singles rest for so long, it wasn't enough to stop all the curlicues and it curling back on itself, and yeah, basically, yeah, yarn bath in the bin. So I am left with this. This was 193 yards, I believe. That was after being washed and reskeined. Yeah, 193 yards of a fingering weight. So yeah, what to do with 193 yards of fingering weight, I don't know. And I'm still tossing up whether I should put it in the shop and just have it as like a mini skein of hand spun, or what I'm going to do with it, because like I said, it's not my colours. I probably wouldn't wear something in this colour, but if anybody's interested in it and would like me to put it in the shop, I am happy to. But yeah, that's my spinning fail / success, because I love the yarn that came out. It's really lovely, it's squishy, and I was really happy with the ply on it, and the way the green, although it was a single colour braid, it had different shades, so it's barber poled and it's really beautiful. And yeah, I was really happy with it, and a whole entire skein of this would have been absolutely glorious. But it wasn't to be, so I've just got this little mini skein. Its future is TBA. But yeah, that was my devastating fail from the weekend. But I'm back to spinning, which is really good. That's the main thing. I have another project that's still up on my wee Peggy up behind me. That was some, what's it called? Three Waters Farm fibre, I believe, and that's got silk in it. It was a blend with some silk in it, so I really want to get that done because that's a 3-ply that I've been working on for a really long time. Plus that will count for the Whip It Good knit along that is still, or craft along that's going on over in the MyMuddlings podcast Ravelry group. Check that out if you want to get through some whips and hope and maybe win some prizes. We're into month 4 now. Oh my goodness, it's April. So yes, if I can get that spinning done, I can have that in there. Not that I'm eligible for prizes, but you know, it's always nice to participate. And I have been doing a little bit of other spinning because I have had my long-term sweater spin. Sorry, I just dropped my my hand spun. I've been doing a long-term sweater spin. I had a kilo of ready spin from Bendigo Woolen Mills in their Oxford Grey colourway. And I've been working on that again because I really want to get, because since I moved everything the other day and how little space I really have for storage, I've got, I think, let me see, 3, 6, 9, 12. I've got about 12 toilet roll holders, toilet rolls, you know, like the core TP rolls, holding all my singles for that. And I still have what's in this bag. So I've got it braided up into 50-gram braids. So that's the Oxford Grey there. And it looks like I've got another, I've only got 3 to go. So yeah, 3 more in the bag. Plus I've got 1 half done on my Ashford wheel, which is just down behind me. I don't think you guys can see it. So yeah, I've got those 4 to do, and then I can start plying that, and I really, really want to get that all done and finished, because that probably will also count for the Whip It Good if I can get that done. So yeah, my spinning mojo is coming back, which I'm really, really happy about, because that has been gone for a really long time. So I do have to say, I can move probably into other things that have been happening right now, as I do have to say I've been really, really proactive recently and quite active in doing home improvement kind of things. It's like, because we are renters, sometimes it's hard to want to spend time and effort and money sort of upgrading your surroundings, if that makes sense. I'm just going to grab my coffee. Yeah, I find sometimes it's hard to really invest, I guess, because you never know when you're going to be moving again. However, in this new place that we have, the landlords are looking for long-term tenants, which is fine by us. That means we can settle. And also, I mean, I actually met my landlord. She was really lovely. Just by coincidence, I went out to check the mailbox, and she was next door because the next door is vacant. So our adjoining house is vacant at the moment, so she was around having a look at it, and she was saying that she hadn't actually been in there since they bought the property, because the tenants that were there actually have rented from them the entire time that they've owned the property. So they own both the adjoining houses. And yeah, so I was having a chat with her, had a walk around next door, and yeah, I was talking to her, and she was saying that she wanted to put a new kitchen into our property, which I was like, new kitchen? Really? And yeah, so she goes, oh, yeah, one day you might get a new kitchen. So I feel like they're intending on letting us stay here, which is fantastic, because that's all Simon and I want is, although we can't afford to buy our own house, we really would like some stability and, you know, permanence, because that's the thing with renting in Australia is it's very, very I don't know, what are the words that I could use? Unstable for the tenants, because landlords, especially around our area where we live, there's a lot of knockdown one old house and build 2 new houses. So there's a lot of competition from developers when purchasing new properties and things like that. Because they'll build 2 houses, they'll sell them and make a giant profit and go and do it somewhere else, which makes it hard for people like Simon and I who are on a relatively low income to be able to afford to buy a house, because we're basically up against developers with lots of money. So yeah, it seems like we will probably be able to stay here for the foreseeable future, and yeah, so because of that, I'm feeling more confident in actually, you know, making our surroundings comfortable and to our tastes, because the house is very bland is the wrong word. That's not the right word. It's cream walls and polished floorboards. So it's a blank canvas, really. So we can add our own things. Of course, we can't do much with putting things on the walls or anything like that, because, you know, we're not allowed to put in hooks or anything like that. We can use their, you know, those command strip ones that you can pull off. We can use things like that. But yeah, so over the long weekend for Easter, Simon and I headed over to IKEA, which is one of my favourite places to go. I've actually been there twice this week. I went with a friend. So let me have a sip of coffee. And yeah, we went and got a Calyx unit for Simon's study, because that back room that I was telling you about in the sleep out is his study. I have the craft room here and he has the study. And we also purchased a TV cabinet shelf unit for the lounge room as well, which is really makes me feel really grown up. It's hilarious just by having a TV cabinet, because basically we were just using a coffee table that Simon bought years ago for an expo that he was what do you call it, presenting, I don't know, exhibiting at. He had like a stall type thing, an exhibit at an expo, so he bought this coffee table for them to have in their area, and that's basically what we've been using for a TV stand, is just basically a coffee table, a big long coffee table. So now we have yeah, some shelving units so we can put our books out and bring our records out and that kind of thing. And as well as that, I have really been getting into plants. If you follow me on Instagram on my personal account on Anne of Julie, I've did a couple of live videos yesterday, and I posted also a picture of some potted plants that I spent yesterday repotting, which is pretty fun. I'm looking at one now. I have a cyclamen now, or a cyclamen, in my craft room now, up near my TV that I have up there. And she's a very, very beautiful deep pink, verging on, I guess you could probably call her fuchsia. She doesn't have a name yet, but she's been repotted yesterday and she's happily sitting there. I purchased an ornamental aloe vera and a peace lily from IKEA when we were there the other day, so they got repotted yesterday. And I went to Bunnings yesterday, which is, for you who aren't in Australia, that is like a hardware and garden sort of mega store. And I trawled the garden, the outdoor garden plant area for quite a while. And I got some herbs, so I got some basil and coriander and parsley and rosemary and what was the other one, mint. So I got a few herbs. I'm hoping that I don't kill them because I don't have a good track record with herbs. If you have any advice, please do let me know. What else did I get? I got some succulents because I love succulents, and a friend of mine who I worked with, she moved overseas. She's back now, but she moved overseas and she gave me her succulents to have, because obviously she couldn't take them with her back to Europe. And unfortunately, when we moved here, I put them out the front of the house thinking the nice sunny position would be perfect for them, but it just killed them, which is really sad. So when I was there yesterday, I got a couple of replacements of the same type that she had given me, So I've replaced a couple of those, plus I got a couple of others. I got a real aloe vera that I can actually, you know, put in smoothies and put on burns and things like that. And what else? I got some tomato plants, so they still need to be repotted because we've got to get a big container for them. And I got some pansies as well because I've always been I've always liked little flowering pansies, so I got 3 different colours of pansies. So I want to get a container to have all 3 of those in as well. So yeah, I'm really getting into the gardening and I'm really loving it. I don't especially like being out in the sun, so I don't usually spend a lot of time outside, but we have a gazebo outside just for because we don't have any verandas or anything here. So my dad put up a gazebo that he had that's just like shade cloth. It's not opaque or waterproof, but it's just some like a shade cloth gazebo. So we put Marion out there underneath that so she's not in full sun, and it's also good for Granger to lay under if it's a hot day and he has to be outside. So yeah, I was just under the gazebo yesterday repotting all my plants, which was really fun. And I was so proud of myself because I don't know, I've never really been a big plant person, usually because I've just killed them all the time. It doesn't bode well for my new plants, does it? But I'm actually taking the time now to research how to do it and what I'm supposed to, you know, do. Try not to overwater. I think that's my problem, is I've always overwatered everything, and that's probably led to root rot and things like that, which is not good. So yeah, I'm really happy with my plants. They've been a lot of fun. And yeah, I've just been having a couple of weeks just to de-stress because there was a lot of work in the lead up to Fibre Feast, and then there was Fibre Feast, which was so overwhelming. I was exhausted for days after. So yeah, I've just took last week and this week, which are both short weeks technically because of the long weekend for Easter. Yeah, I've just been taking this time just to relax a little bit, do a bit of crafting. I'm going to do a little bit of sewing because Marion needs proper covers for her cage. So I measured her cage the other day, and it's over there, it's all rolled up again because I have a roll of like brown paper that I draft my own patterns onto for things like that, which I have, but it's just all rolled up again. So I went to Spotlight yesterday and grabbed some fabric so I'm going to make 2. I have some leftover, well not leftover, but I have some old flannel sheets that I have here that I'm going to make probably a nightie or a pair of pajamas for myself out of it. But I'm going to use some of that to do a lining for one of the covers, just so, because she lives out in the laundry, which is the sleep out sort of area, it gets really cold in winter. So I'm going to make her 2 covers, one that's just plain cotton, no lining for summer and the warmer months, and then I'm going to make her another one with some flannel in it for the cold months, just to keep her nice and toasty inside. So hopefully I might have those to show you next week on the podcast. Who knows? I washed the fabric this morning. It's still on the line now. So yeah, I have to bring it in and cut it out. And one of the fabrics, there wasn't a lot of it. So I'm going to probably have to do some creative sort of cutting. The only problem with that is it's a directional fabric because it's got little birds on it, so that might make it a little bit tricky, but we'll see what happens. If need be, I'll just use some other fabric that I already have just to fill in the gaps. But yeah, I think I might leave it there. I feel like I've been rabbiting on for ages. My throat's getting very dry and the coffee really isn't helping. But yeah, it's actually making my mouth a bit more gummy, I think. I think it's making me less hydrated than more hydrated. So yeah, I'm sorry it's been a bit of a delay. I'm recording here on a Thursday again, even though I said I wasn't going to do that. But yeah, it's just the way the cookie crumbles, I guess. So long as I can get a podcast out every week, I will be really happy. I have also started my Patreon for anybody who is interested in contributing. You can get all little perks and things. So I'll put a link in the description if you want to go check out the Patreon and see if you would like to join in there and get the exclusive little perks for being a patron. So yeah, that is something to think about. And I think that's probably where I'll leave it. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have enjoyed. If you have any advice for me on any of the things that I've talked about, or you want me to talk about some other things, please do let me know down in the comments. And just quickly, I think YouTube is playing silly buggers again with sending people notifications as to whether I have uploaded. So if you do want to see my podcast every week, please remember to click that subscribe button and the little bell icon, just to make sure that YouTube lets you know when I have uploaded, and they definitely will give you the notification. So yes, that is something to keep in mind. But until next time, I'll try not to bring up something else to delay the end of this podcast. Until next time, I hope you all have a lovely, lovely week and happy crafting, and I will see you next time. Bye.